Have you ever had that moment where you're sitting in your car, engine off, just staring at the dashboard? Not because something's wrong with the car, but because you're doing the math in your head? You're thinking about the payment, the insurance, the gas, the little maintenance things you keep hoping won't pop up this month. And what messes with you is that the car feels normal, necessary even. You're not driving a sports car. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're just trying to get to work, get the kids where they need to go, keep your life moving. So why does it feel like this one normal purchase has your whole financial life in a chokehold? That's what we're talking about today. My name is Dr. Alex Cartel. I'm an economics professor, and I spend a lot of time thinking about why your car payment is worse than you think and how it affects you. If you want simple, clear insights on why your car payment is worse than you think, give this video a thumbs up. It really supports the channel. Now let's talk about the part most people don't want to say out loud. Most people think a car payment is just a number, a line item, like rent, but smaller. You either can afford it or you can't. But that's not how it actually behaves in your life, because a car payment isn't just a payment. It's a psychological contract. It's a monthly pressure that shows up even on good weeks. It's a decision you made once that keeps voting on your behalf for years. And here's where people get misunderstood. If your car payment stresses you out, it doesn't mean you're irresponsible. It doesn't mean you lack discipline. It usually means you're living in a world where transportation is not optional, and the system has figured out how to turn not optional into a subscription. The common belief is, well, a car is an asset. Technically, sure. But emotionally, functionally, for most people, a car behaves less like an asset and more like a necessity you're forced to finance. While it quietly loses value, that's the reframe. The car payment isn't just about the car, it's about what it does to your choices, your stress level, and your ability to breathe. Let me show you why it's worse than it looks, without making you feel judged for having one. Picture two people living in the same city, same commute time, same job market, same grocery prices, same everything. One person has a paid-off car, nothing fancy. It starts, it goes, that's it. The other person has a financed car. Again, nothing flashy, just a normal car payment. On paper, the difference might look like $400, $500, $600 a month. But in real life, that difference behaves like a weight on the chest. Because the payment is only the start. When you finance a car, you usually get pushed into higher insurance coverage. Not because you're reckless, but because the lender wants the car protected. Then you're buying gas. You're paying for registration. You're paying for oil changes, tires, brakes. And the thing about maintenance is it never arrives politely. It shows up on the month you were already stretched. So now you've got this situation where the car payment is really a whole ecosystem of costs. And the scariest part is how predictable it is. Not the exact number, but the pattern. Every month, the car demands something, and psychologically that matters more than people realize. Because humans don't just respond to dollars. We respond to repeated pressure. A one-time cost hurts, but you recover. A monthly cost becomes a background hum in your nervous system. It turns your life into a series of, can I make it to next paycheck? Calculations. And this is where the car payment starts doing something sneaky. It compresses your margin. Margin is that little bit of space where life can be imperfect and you're still okay. When you lose margin, small problems become big problems. Your tire gets a nail and it's not annoying. It's a crisis. Your kid needs something for school, and it's not fine. It's a trade-off. Your boss cuts your hours for 2 weeks, and suddenly you're not just behind, you're improvising. People talk about financial stress like it's about budgeting, but a lot of the time it's about fragility. And car payments are a fragility machine. Because they're fixed. Rent can sometimes be negotiated. Food can sometimes be stretched. You can skip a streaming subscription. You can delay buying clothes. But you can't negotiate a car note very easily. You can't call the lender and say, hey, life was loud this month. Can we just pause? If you miss it, the penalties are real. Late fees, credit damage, stress, sometimes even repossession. So what do? You protect the payment. You protect it before you protect yourself. And that's where the worse than you think part starts. Because the car payment doesn't just take money, it takes priority. It starts rearranging your decisions. I want you to notice this. People with tight car payments don't usually say, "I'm choosing this car over my future." They say, "I have to." And they're not lying, because for many people, losing the car means losing the job, and losing the job means losing everything else. So the payment becomes sacred. Now add a layer of psychology that most financial conversations ignore. When you have a big fixed payment, your brain changes how it sees risk. You become more anxious about small spending, but strangely tolerant of big financial leaks. You'll argue with yourself over a $20 meal, while a $600 payment auto-drafts without a conversation. That's not because you're irrational. It's because fixed obligations create emotional fatigue. Decision fatigue. You only have so many responsible choices in a day, so you end up doing what humans do under pressure. You go on autopilot. This is why car payments are so sticky. Even when people know it's too much, changing it feels impossible. Because selling the car feels like admitting failure. Because downgrading feels like losing status, even if nobody else cares. Because the process is complicated and you're already tired. And because there's a specific kind of shame that comes with money decisions that don't look smart in hindsight. But here's the part that's quietly heartbreaking. A lot of people didn't choose a high payment because they wanted luxury. They chose it because they wanted reliability. They wanted to stop getting stranded. Stop missing shifts. Stop calling in favors. Stop living in that constant fear that the car won't start. So they finance peace of mind. And lenders are very good at pricing peace of mind. They don't sell you a car. They sell you a monthly number that feels survivable. Just $489 a month. It's always just. But just is a dangerous word when your budget has no cushion. Because if your margin is thin, just becomes forever. And then there's the math part. Simple but sobering. Cars lose value over time. Meanwhile, your loan doesn't care, your interest doesn't care, your insurance doesn't care. So you can end up in a situation where you owe more than the car is worth, especially early on. And that's not a personal failure. That's a structural feature of financing a depreciating thing with borrowed money. It's like stepping onto an escalator that's going down while you're trying to walk up. You can still make progress, but it costs more energy than it looks like from the outside. Now here's the turning point. The moment this gets easier isn't when you become a perfect money person. It's when you stop thinking of the car payment as a transportation choice and start seeing it as a freedom choice. Not freedom in a dramatic sense. Freedom in the small, daily sense. Freedom to take a job change without panic. Freedom to handle a surprise expense without feeling your stomach drop. Freedom to rest without calculating. Because the real cost of a car payment is what it does to your flexibility. And flexibility is what makes life feel stable. So the mindset shift is simple, but it's powerful. Instead of asking, "Can I make this payment?" Ask, "What does this payment take away from me every month? Does it take away sleep? Does it take away options? Does it take away the ability to handle normal life without spiraling?" That's not judgment. That's awareness. And awareness is where calm decisions come from. Now, practically, shoes, what do you do with this if you're listening and thinking, "Okay, I get it, but I still need a car, and I'm already in the loan"? First, I want to say something gently. If you have a car payment right now, you're not behind in life. You're not broken. You're living inside the reality most people are living in. So no shame, no dramatic guilt spiral. That doesn't help, but you can start reducing the damage, and you can do it in a way that feels realistic. One of the best things you can do is get honest about your all-in car cost. Not just the payment. The payment plus insurance, gas, and the average monthly maintenance you've been pretending won't happen. When you see the real number, it's uncomfortable. But it's also clarifying. Because clarity turns vague anxiety into something you can actually work with. If your payment is high, the next move is not necessarily work harder. Sometimes the most peaceful move is exploring whether the car still makes sense. That might mean refinancing if rates and your credit allow it, just to reduce the monthly squeeze. It might mean extending the term, even if you don't love that idea. Because right now you're buying breathing room. It might mean downsizing to a cheaper car if the numbers work, and you can do it without getting trapped in a worse situation. And if you can't change the car right now, then the play becomes protecting your margin. Because margin is the antidote to fixed payment stress. Even a small buffer changes your relationship with the payment. It turns one unexpected thing and I'm done into, okay, this is annoying, but I can handle it. And that buffer doesn't have to start as some heroic savings plan. It can start as a small, boring goal. A little cash set aside so the next tire, the next battery, the next registration renewal doesn't go on a credit card at a brutal interest rate. Because that's another hidden way car payments get worse. They don't just cost money. They push you into other expensive money. They push you toward credit card balances. Buy now, pay later. Shortfalls that charge you for being short. The stuff you use when you're trying to keep the car on the road and the lights on at home. So if you do one thing after this video, let it be this. Reduce the chance that your car creates a second payment through debt. Not perfect, just less fragile. And I'll add something that sounds almost too simple, but it matters. If you're feeling trapped by your car payment, talk about it with someone safe. Not someone who will judge you. Someone who can help you see options you can't see when you're stressed. Because financial stress isolates people. It makes you feel like you're the only one. You're not. A lot of people are quietly paying a normal car payment that is quietly reshaping their entire life. I want to end on something reassuring. If you've been blaming yourself because your finances feel tight even though you make decent money, there's a good chance the math is sitting in your driveway. Not because you're dumb. Because fixed costs are powerful. And when a fixed cost gets too big, it doesn't just take money. It takes peace. But the good news is, once you can name the pressure, you can start designing around it. You can start making decisions that buy back margin. And margin is what makes everything feel less scary. Not wealth, not perfection, just room. So if your car payment has been making you feel like you're always catching up, I want you to hear me. You're not failing. You're responding to a heavy, very real monthly obligation. And progress here doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be quiet. It can be slow. It can look like one small reduction in stress at a time. Because the goal isn't to win at money. It's to make your life feel a little more yours. And as always, this is education. Not financial or legal advice. I'm just here to help you see the math and the psychology more clearly, so you can feel a little calmer living inside it.